I also got something to say. Fuck Spider-Man. Fuck Spider-Man. Fuck that mid-ass movie.
In the Regal app.
Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan. Oh. Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan. Oh. Go ahead, Jordan. Oh. Go, Tom, go. Oh. Damn. Oh. Ow. Oh. 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 Boo. 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 Damn. Whoa. Oh, he's going. Ooh. Ooh. Wow. Ooh. He's doing. Ooh.
I also got something to say. Fuck Spider-Man. Fuck Spider-Man. Fuck that mid-ass movie. My expectations, and it was only mid because of how the hype that they was building around it, the hype that everyone was putting towards it. Zendaya talking about, oh, we go there. And, you know, everyone else making it seem like this is an emotional roller coaster where you cry and grieve X, Y, and Z. And, oh, the movie's up here. So my expectations for this movie, to then see it, and it being mid. Where's the trash can? Fuck Spider-Man. Fuck Spider-Man. Fuck that mid-ass movie. For me to go and it not meet those expectations as everyone put it to be, I have every right to say it was mid. Another positive one I would say, a scene that I fucked with, is the Scorpion scene when his arachnid side took over and then he just took this nigga by the tail. Dude, yo. When I saw that scene, I was like, I wouldn't say great, but it was a good and like one of the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. But good overall Spider-Man movie in general. What I feel would have made this a dark Spider-Man movie would have been, especially the one scene when he was holding MJ over the ledge and then he dropped her. If he did not save her and she died, that would have been a dark turn. A way better, darker storyline to go to for Peter Parker to, number one, blame himself. And, you know, eventually he could have started losing himself more and more and generally just accepting that arachnid side and no longer wanting to be Peter Parker because he killed his lover. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't control his powers. You know, I feel like that would have been like... Alright, hopefully you guys can see me all the way back here. I hope it's like clear. So this is an overall review and highlighting opinion. Okay, opinion, not facts, opinion. Because no matter what I say, no matter what I think, no matter what you say, or no matter what you think, at the end of the day, it all comes down to opinion and perspective. So at the end of the day, nobody is right. And at the end of the day, everybody, including I and you, are validated to our own opinion and reactions to the movie. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with, I guess the positive things, because I'm not gonna bash the movie, okay? I will say that this Spider-Man was one of Tom's better Spider-Man movies, better than his previous ones, you know? And I don't want to say No Way Home was one of his best ones, but No Way Home was I don't want to say great, but I want to say great Spider-Man because we got to see the OGs. We got to see Tobey Maguire. We got to see Andrew Garfield. And we got to see all three Spider-Men just their interactions together, you know? And just the build up to it was just, I don't think anything beats that movie, you know? Because in No Way Home, Economy and I was genuinely yelling at basically every reaction. We were screaming when Daredevil showed up. We were screaming when Tobey Maguire showed up, when Andrew showed up. And comparing that and those reactions and that build up to Brand New Day, neither one of us had that. You know, we didn't, oh my God, yo, or the build up to, you know? Anyways, though, I feel like I'm bashing right now. I'm going to go back to what I liked about the movie. I liked the theme song for Tom Holland's original score now, like his soundtrack for his theme music. I liked the swinging, the fight choreography. I like how it also felt more like grounded, you know, suit-wise, the wrinkles in the suit. I liked how the suit really wasn't a Tony Stark suit, more so Tom Holland suit making it himself. My favorite scene was, you know, Peter Parker swinging, not Spider-Man swinging, Peter Parker swinging. The scene after he left the party with Ned and MJ, and he was just running, jumping and swinging, and like having that emotional scene right there. And I've actually seen someone say when Peter Parker was falling, like downward, he was contemplating just ending it right there. And when I read that and looking at the scene, I was like, maybe he was, you know. Granted, that's not confirmed or anything. Again, just an opinion or a theory. But regardless, that was one of my favorite scenes, you know, because I feel like that scene alone was more emotional on what Peter Parker was going through. And mind you, no words had to be said, you know. There didn't really have to be a dialogue. There wasn't no, oh, I feel this way, X, Y, and Z. I feel like they portrayed that scene perfectly on what Peter Parker feels and what he's going through with no words. I feel like they did that scene perfect. So that is one of my favorite scenes. I like how they had the Hulk. I like how they had Punisher. I like how they brought, you know, Punisher into it. I'm just trying to think of the positive, because I feel like if I go into everything, it might seem like more bashing. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to speak on my key points on why I thought the movie was more so mid instead of like great, where everyone's holding it at like, it's great, when I more so think it was mid. So I'm going to just speak on my key points on why I personally thought the movie was mid. Again, I'm not saying it was ass. I'm not saying it was trash. I'm not saying it was terrible. I'm just saying it was mid. Mid. But I will also say it was one of Tom's best and better Spider-Man movies than the previous ones, even No Way Home. But again, No Way Home, I really want to give it to a Tom movie, more so the hype was there for Andrew and Tobey. You know what I'm saying? So this alone was Tom's better Spider-Man movies, right? So one of my first points, I want to say that I personally was like, that doesn't really make sense, was when Peter saw, you know, Ned, but then MJ. So when he saw this love him, like, kissing and dating another dude, that triggered his arachnid side, and that, quote unquote, that alone was a traumatic event that caused him to have his arachnid side, and, you know, the arachnid side taking over and him struggling with these changes. That moment was the traumatic event that caused basically the whole dynamic of the struggle between Peter Parker and his arachnid side. To me, that didn't make sense. You know, you seeing your ex-lover kiss another dude shouldn't really be considered a traumatic event in this nature, you know? Let me put my phone over here. It shouldn't be like that in this nature, in this degree, where this is happening. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the traumatic event that should have caused this shit was when Tony Stark died, when your Aunt May got her shit killed, when the whole world forgot your existence, when your best friend and your lover forgot your existence, and then that isolation for however many years, I think 4 or 5 years, all of that should have been your traumatic event to cause this arachnid change, you know? Not seeing your ex-lover kiss another nigga, you know, that shouldn't have caused all of this, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, if you really think about it, their love was some high school shit, you know? Like, that's some little kid shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're grown up now, you're in college, or out of college, since 4 or 5 years went by, or out of college, you are on some grown-up shit now. That was some high school little kid shit, you know what I'm saying? So, that's my first point, right? Let's see what was next. Alright, so, actually, I'm gonna leave this for last. So my second point, I'm gonna put my last point. I'm gonna end with that. So we're gonna go to my third point. So I guess you could say second. I feel like they didn't focus much on the Spider-Gene side as the trailer deemed so, if that makes sense. I feel like the arachnid side and arachnid change wasn't really... I feel like it didn't have enough depth to it. Depth and length. I feel like depth and length wasn't really there for this movie. Because I feel like once when they introduced Jean Grey and we got the reason why she's doing X, Y, and Z, then the whole problem with the arachnid side really wasn't touched on, right? And at the very end, or more so towards the end of the movie, the only time it really got brought back up was when Jean Grey was telling him, like, yo, we're both alone, da-da-da-da-da, like, why don't we just both accept what we really are? And then Peter Parker, he took off his, you know, his mutation thing, or the inhibitor. And the whole movie, this motherfucker was struggling with controlling X, Y, and Z, right? But for him to say, you know what, you're right, I'm both Peter Parker and the arachnids. I'm both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Saying that allowed him to gain control over his arachnid side X, Y, and Z, which I personally was like, bullshit. You know, like, that really felt like a whole power of friendship type of scene. You know, like the Flash. You know, the Flash getting a pep talk from his little team to defeat his villains when the Flash could pack shit up in like 0.5 seconds. So that scene right there really didn't make sense to me either, because it's like, all right, this whole movie you were struggling with this arachnid side, and once when you had a little pep talk, or not really a pep talk, but more so of an acceptance talk, and then you say to yourself, you know what, I'm both. And then you just have full control and authority of something that you've been struggling with. I don't even say a month. This probably all happened in a span of like 4, 5, 6, 7 days, you know? So it's like, you shouldn't have gained control over that, you know what I'm saying? Damn, I probably need some water. 1 second. But again, that's just my opinion. I know some of you guys might say, oh no, that makes sense, you know, he accepted it. Once when you accept what you really are, X, Y, and Z, or to accept who you're meant to be, you know, you gain control of it. But it's just like, yeah, if you're a fucking human being, not fucking Spider-Man, where your animalistic side is taking over, you know what I'm saying? What else did I say? Oh, okay. Now, for Jean Grey, I personally feel like, I did like her character. I just feel like the MCU is going to potentially waste Jean Grey in the sense of Sadie Sink's character. I feel like Marvel does that a lot. They build up this character, X, Y, and Z, and the side storyline to potentially never go anywhere with it in the future. You know, just like Moon Knight. There is no season 2 of Moon Knight, but they want to give us She-Hulk. Nobody fucking asked for that shit. So I don't really gotta speak long on it. I just feel like the MCU might potentially waste Jean Grey's character, and I feel like they are not going to go anywhere with her in the future, and our only sighting of Sadie Sink's Jean Grey will be in this movie, you know? Maybe Doomsday, Secret War, I don't know, but I'm just saying, I think that the MCU is potentially not going to go anywhere with her. What else did I write? Okay. Spider-Man take punch it. Alright, so it really sounds like I'm bashing on this movie, but I'm really not. It's just me watching it and I was just like, this doesn't make sense. You know? So another part is the Spider-Man and Hulk, right? I just want to make sure I didn't write separate bullet points, because if I'm about to talk about the Hulk, I want to make sure there's no other bullet points and I can just speak on it all now. Okay, no, it's just this one bullet point. So, for the fight scene with Spider-Man and Hulk, right? How did Peter Parker take those hits, right? Granted, people argue that the Hulk might have been holding back X, Y, and Z. Cool, whatever. Does not matter. Even if Hulk was holding back. How did Peter take those hits and survive? But when Frank shot this motherfucker, by accident though, when the Punisher shot this motherfucker, by accident, this nigga drops. Basically dead too. The only reason he's alive is because Jean Grey was like controlling his breathing in the hospital while he was unconscious. So I was like, how do you take punches from the Hulk? But a bullet is what ends your shit, really. No, if you really think about it, that bullet ended his shit. See, Jean Grey is the only reason he's alive. Let's take her out the equation. How do you take punches from the Hulk and be fine, but a fucking bullet drops your shit? And I could be wrong, but like I thought Spider-Man had healing factors. Not like Wolverine or Deadpool, but I thought Spider-Man had, like a healing regeneration factor, yeah, right. So another one was more so like when Frank did shoot Spider-Man and he carried him into the hospital. How the fuck was this motherfucker able to be sitting in a hospital like, waiting in a lobby? Ain't you a fucking felon? Aren't you fucking wanted by everybody? Every fucking government? Nigga, how the fuck are you just peacefully chilling in the waiting room of the hospital, motherfucker? Didn't you shoot up a hospital in Daredevil season 1 or 2? I don't know which season, but he did shoot up a hospital. So that was funny. It's like, how the fuck is this motherfucker just chilling in the hospital without the authorities, X, Y, and Z, I did make a bullet point, like how did Ned remember Peter from a handshake, but MJ didn't remember him at all. But and again, this was that night, like the night I saw it. But after a few days and I see other people talking about it, people have been saying that Jean could have helped unlock memories for people, X, Y, and Z. And when Peter did the handshake, it was like muscle memory, and then he was like, Peter, Now, in that moment when that happened, I didn't take it as, oh, he remembered Peter Parker. He just remembered the muscle memory of a handshake and was surprised that Peter knows the handshake. And that he's only saying Peter because MJ said, oh, Spider-Man's name is Peter. You know what I'm saying? So I took it as, he was like, MJ said Spider-Man's name is Peter. I took it like that. Economy said he took it in a way that he remembered Peter as his best friend. So I didn't take it that way though, but looking back at it, I can see it being that way, And for MJ, did she remember him when she was crying? Because like, why was she crying when she was frozen? You know what I'm saying? I didn't see anyone else crying, so it was like, was Jean unlocking memories to a degree, or was it just uncomfortable pain, dude, that scene, alright, I will say this, because I feel like I've been bashing it, and I meant to do all the positive things first. I did like 1 or 2 positive points. Another positive one I would say, a scene that I fucked with, is the Scorpion scene when his arachnid side took over, and then took this nigga by the tail. yo. When I saw that scene, I was like, and then he jumped up and it came down full force. Yeah, that was before he threw that motherfucker at a cop car. But I was like, that was one of my other favorite scenes as well. But I want to say this is the negative point, but I guess it's more so like y'all are all fake as fuck. When Spider-Man threw Scorpion at the cop car, all the cops and even I guess civilians was looking at Spider-Man in pure like horror, and even the cops was like aiming a gun at Spider-Man. And to me, I was like, you motherfucker, like, do you guys not know what like collateral damage is? You know what I'm saying? Like, the Avengers have collateral damage. I don't see y'all aiming your fucking weapons and hunting them down, you know, but and Spider-Man's been such a good, friendly neighborhood to y'all. Y'all should have been understanding that, oh, you know, he probably wasn't thinking straight or probably didn't see the cop car, probably was throwing Scorpion and the cop car was just collateral coming in at the same time. But, like, they all looked at that motherfucker like they was ready to shoot. In that scene, I was like, you're all fake as fuck. The Green Goblin was right. And Spider-Man won with Tobey Maguire when he said all it takes is for them to turn their back on you like that. That's what that scene felt like to me. I was like, yo, y'all are fake as fuck. I guess this is a negative point. It's just, I was like, y'all are all fake in the movie. I guess that was really it. Everything I could possibly think of. Everything else that comes to the top of my mind is I didn't like how they treated Bruce Banner after he, you know, transitioned back from Hulk to Bruce, and then they find out that it was Jean who did that shit to him, you know? But yet y'all still have this motherfucker in this asylum, in a mental asylum? That is fucking crazy. You know he ain't mean to do that shit. And for Spider-Man to not even, yo, that wasn't Bruce, y'all. Like, Jean Grey got in his mind and did X, Y, and Z to him. You just gonna let that motherfucker sit in there? No. The second point, which I made last, the whole reason I'm saying that Spider-Man Brand New Day was mid is because of the expectations that before the trailer came out, the expectations of day one, after the trailer, and then like opening screening, people saying that, oh my god, it was so great, it was the best movie, you know, I was emotional, I was crying, all these positive reactions, even the celebrities of like Zendaya talking about, oh, we go there this film. And I think Tom or someone else said that, you know, it's an emotional ride, you know. So with these expectations, and even seeing the trailer, I was like, oh, it's gonna be good, you know. So I had this high expectation that this movie is just gonna be fucking A1, you know. So to go there with the expectations and for it to not hit as I expected and assumed it to be is the reason why I say it's mid. If I didn't have any expectations, I honestly would have said this was a good, I wouldn't say great, but it was a good and like one of the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. But good overall Spider-Man movie in general instead of mid. If there was no expectations, I hope that makes sense. And like I saw The Odyssey the other day, I did not have any expectations. I didn't even know what the fuck I was watching or going in to watch. And it was good. I thought The Odyssey was good. I'll even say The Odyssey was better than Spider-Man, you know, and that's just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. Doesn't mean you're right or wrong either for whatever you gotta say. And yeah, actually, no, I don't feel like I'm actually jabbing negative at my points. More so just poking lightly at scenarios where I myself personally, with my own opinion, was like, you know. But again, no, if like anyone leaves anything negative, X, Y, and Z, you best believe I'm going to come right back at your neck. You know, I'm not one of those people to be all friendly on the internet. If you say something rudely negative, I'm coming right back at you with that same fucking energy, you know. But with that being said, before you do that, remember, this is a fucking movie. This is not real life. It is not changing the fucking world. It's not changing your lifespan. It's not changing mine. It's not changing the economy and struggles and mental health and X, Y, and Z and all the problems in the fucking world or one's personal life, you know? So think about that before you comment thinking that this is a life-altering fucking video, you know? And before anyone says I'm not a Spider-Man fan and I'm wrong for saying it was mid, I made a post on this channel that Spider-Man Brand New Day was the sole and only reason why I'm still alive, you know, and not blowing my shit smooth off so I can see Spider-Man. And then I even went in a fucking Spider-Man costume. So for me to go and it not meet those expectations as everyone put it to be, I have every right to say it was mid. So yeah, just know if you do leave a negative or ill intent response, I might just call you a fat f***. I might tell you to go f*** yourself and f*** your mother, your grandmother, and your whole entire family. And they're fat f***s as well. You call, just go f*** yourself, you know. Maybe die. If you want to take it that far, I'll take it that far too. You know, I'm just saying. If you leave a comment saying some crazy wild shit, hold on, I'll even leave some like screenshots if I can on what I said on TikTok. If you leave anything of that nature on here, I'm coming right at your fucking neck. That's all I'm saying, okay? So yeah, again, I'm not one of those people that be like, oh, okay, you left that comment, I'm annoyed. No, I'm coming right back at you. But yeah, overall, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, just an opinion, my own perspective on Spider-Man Brand New Day. Wasn't trash, wasn't terrible, it wasn't ass. It was Tom's better and best Spider-Man movies alone. Overall, as a Spider-Man movie, it was mid. Only because of people's expectations and me holding their expectations up there as they was. And it just didn't hit. Yes, again, if there was no expectations, I would have said it was good. Maybe I might have said it was great. But nah, it was just mid, you know. Will I see it again? For sure. And will I rewatch it throughout life? Absolutely. You know, Spider-Man is my superhero. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, don't come with any negative or ill intent and not expect one right back at you. So hope you all enjoyed this video. Again, just my own opinion and viewpoints and perspectives on it. But overall, it wasn't a terrible movie. It wasn't ass. It wasn't trash. It was okay. It was mid. Oh, also, my mom was right. I hate that she was right. Like 2 videos before this about the title of her hating on the trailer, she was right. So I gotta make an apology for saying I'm gonna punch my mom. She was right about about this movie. So yeah. All right, that's it. I'm terrible at ending videos, but I'm gonna just end the video. Hold on, no, hold on. I really just forgot what I had to say. Going back to what everyone said, like, you know, Zendaya, Tom, X, Y, and Z, everyone basically said, oh, we go there, this movie. This is one of the darkest Spider-Man movies, X, Y, and Z. It didn't feel like any of that to me at all, you know? What I feel would have made this a dark Spider-Man movie would have been, especially the one scene when he was holding MJ over the ledge, and then he dropped her. And again, that was when his arachnid side was taking over, when he was just fighting that in the beginning. And he dropped her, and then he snapped out of it and ran and jumped off, about to catch her. Right there, I genuinely thought, oh, they was not lying. They're going to go there, this movie. Because they already teased this in No Way Home. And Andrew saves MJ. Andrew saves Zendaya. I'm like mixing up calling them in real life names and then their character names, but you know what I mean. Andrew saved MJ. So I was like, okay, there's no way they tease this again. She's going to fucking die, you know? And then he saved her. So I was like, they're not going to go there, this movie. But if he did not save her and she died, that would have been a dark turn, you know? And I feel like that could have been as such a way better, darker storyline to go to for Peter Parker to, number one, blame himself because that was his actions. He could not control his powers, and that would cause some type of psychological. Did I say it? Psychological? Yeah, some type of psychological torture. You know what I'm saying? And eventually he could have started losing himself more and more and more, and generally just accepting that arachnid side and no longer wanting to be Peter Parker because he killed his lover. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't control his powers. I feel like that would have been like, or even the darker turn when Peter dropped with a bullet. They could have killed him. You know what I'm saying? And that could have been a darker turn as well, leaving an audience like, you know what I'm saying? And eventually we would have known he would have came back with a symbiote, maybe with like Secret Wars or something. Because that's where I thought they was going with this movie, like a symbiote teaser, but they didn't. But yeah, those are just two small points that like I feel like would have been like a dark twist, And I will say though, like, again, not bashing the movie. The movie had an emotional scene for, Peter Parker and the audience, and just like I said, the running rooftop scene of Peter Parker swinging, even scenes of him bonding with Ned and MJ in the room as he had the Spider-Man suit on, them just having their moment. I was like, oh wow, like that's cool. And the emotional scene when MJ said that, I don't know you, I don't love you. I was like, if I was Peter, I'm blowing my shit smooth off right there. No. So all this being said, like, I'm acknowledging the good scenes, the emotional scenes. I'm not bashing this whole movie, but those were just my two little tweakers on how to go there, So, yeah, okay. I now think I'm done with this review.
Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan. Oh. Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan. Oh. Go ahead, Jordan. Oh. Go, Tom, go. Oh. Damn. Ow. Oh. Oh, damn! Whoa! Oh, he's going. Ooh! Oh, God. Ooh! Wow. Ooh! He's going. Ooh!